Big Pit National Museum in Welsh, Pwll, Mawr, Amgueddfa, Lofaol, Cymru, is a industrial heritage museum, Blaenavon, Torfaen, Wales. A working coal mine from 1880 to 1980, it was opened to the public in 1983 as a charitable trust called the Big Pit Blaenavon Trust. By 1st of February 2001, Big Pit Coal Museum was incorporated into the National Museum Galleries of Wales. As the National Mining Museum of Wales, the site is dedicated to operational preservation of the Welsh heritage of coal mining, which took place during the Industrial Revolution. Located adjacent to the preserved Pwll and Blaenavon Railway, Big Pit is part of Blaenafon Industrial Landscape and a World Heritage and anchor point of the European route of industrial heritage. Big Pit was originally an iron mine, driven into the side of the mountain not far from the surface due to the shallow iron deposits. The level is called Engine Pit Level and can still be seen on the bridge connecting Blaenavon and the Garn Road. The iron workings are above the Big Pit coal workings. For some time, an Engine Pit Level was used as an emergency exit for Big Pit while it was working. Now the river Engine Pit Level was driven around 1810 by hand due to dynamite being invented 5 decades later. There are no known records of the iron mine. There are a few pictures online showing the interior of the engine level from the 1960s when miners from the Big Pit explored the level, finding an old flange-less wheeled drum inside, now at a museum. There was also known ironworking shaft, engine pit shaft, which existed information and location of this shaft can be on the industrial Gwent. The Big Pit is part of a network of coal workings established in Blaenavon in the first half of the 9th century by the Blaenavon Iron and Coal Company as part of the development of the Blaenavon Iron Works, which means it has some of the oldest large-scale industrial coal mining developments in the South Wales coalfield. The mine was most important of all the quarries located in Blaenavon. The nearby Coiti pit is shown in reports in the 1850s, consisting of 2 shafts 9 feet in diameter which were difficult to pump out. Historians disagree about when the Big Pit was first in consistent operation, but it may have been a development of a former pit called Kersley Pit, mentioned in the company records from the 1860s, which lay at the other end of the geological fault from the Coiti pit. A mines inspector's report in 1881 is the first to describe a mine called the Big Pit, elliptical shape with dimensions of 18 feet by 13 feet. First shaft in Wales large enough to allow 2 tramways. On completion it became the coal winding shaft, while the older Coiti shaft was used for upcast air ventilation. In 1878 the main shaft was deepened to reach the old coal seam at 293 feet. By 1908 Big Pit provided employment for 1,122 people, and by 1923 at peak there were 1,399 men employed, producing coal, steam coal, ironstone and fire clay from the Horn No. 2 yard. The old coal and lead seams peakable production more than 250,000 tons of coal per year. During the height of production, coal from Big Pit was shipped as far as South America and also to other points worldwide until 1908 when a conveyor became part of the mine equipment. Everything at Big Pit was done by manpower, including cutting the coal. The mine was one of the first to install electricity, and by 1910 fans, hauling system and pumps were electrified. In 1939 pithead baths were installed at the mine. It meant miners no longer needed to walk home dirty and wet, risking illness. The baths were also beneficial to miners' families. Women no longer needed to carry hot jugs of water to fill tin baths, and children were no longer accidentally scalded during this process. During the Second World War, surface extraction of coal began at Blaenavon in November 1941.
Look at our special cat.
There's always one, isn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually quite cool, isn't it?
Can't get rid of it.
Those guys.
The hook's hanging out of the roof. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
So we would have suspended something on it. What do you reckon that would have held? It would have been heavy, isn't it?
Something very...
Really heavy.
So this was the electrician's workshop. That's what it says there.
Oh, is that?
Yeah. So. Oh, maybe it's just you hang stuff off the ground so you can work on it when you get underneath them and stuff, isn't it?
Oh, I just realised there's a flat card under it.
Seen a few of them in worse condition than that, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
Which way are we going? Right, is it?
Yeah. We follow the dog.
That's this way, is it? Oh yeah, it's this way.
Sick of that.
Lost already.
Is it?
Yeah, it's there.
No, it's
this way. It's this way.
Look,
Oh, that's just for the tour then, is it?
The arrow's pointing there, and then it's there.
I'll stay in the video.
What's the bar?
Blaenafon Industrial.
Oh yeah, we follow these signs.
Wow, another cart, guys.
So there's going to be stuff everywhere around here because it's technically still an active colony.
We need to go back and out upstairs, do we?
No, we skipped the queue because that's what the tickets are for.
I reckon.
That is.
Yeah, so basically we go through there.
So jobbing off is just that's the queue skip, is it?
Yeah.
No, he's going to be coming soon to get us. He'll be coming soon.
Is it just we're sitting there?
Oh, you joined us.
Yeah.
Okay. Just two of you, yeah? Thank you.
Yeah, dude. How's it going? Great, so thank you very much.
Sorry, can we just leave that with you? Yeah.
Thank you very
Go,
much.
Got ID.
We'll check away if I was holding it.
this office after 2:30 on Friday.
You probably looked at your camera there.
Huh?
He was staring at your camera.
Oh, probably,
As
yeah.
you walked past, he was like that, looking at you.
I don't...
Did you see that?
With the loop.
Proper staring at his camera. As you walked past, yeah, he proper like stared him out, like he was like intensely stared you out. He was like, wow.
Look.
Right, so yeah, so this is where you got it. Ah, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome, yeah.
That's actually pretty cool. Oh, give all, I'm just going in there to give all the
This
stuff
is
up.
where we go and give him all our way.
Yeah, all the electricals, everything. Like this, key fobs. No electrical items underground. So that I'll see you when I get out and I'll tell you what the lift is like. Happy days.
Right, we're heading into the pit head.
Oh, you feel cold in here.
Yes.
You want to wipe your screen, you've got a big smudge print on it.
Oh my God,
God, it's really cold in here.
Big draft.
That wind. Look at it, like coming up there now.
Wow. Crazy, isn't it?
There's the lift there.
Look at the chain.
I didn't realise how like how the electronics and everything just gases, But what I reckon, lads, is we get a cup of tea and have a basil.
That's amazing, they got.
Oh, the canaries.
This is what we hope that comes in another mine.
Yeah.
Well, so therefore, your
They're
place.
pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah.
So therefore,
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Turkeys. They're birds.
It's all the east, so these are what I like. All the old pictures.
yeah. I thought someone was talking to me through the thing there. Yeah, that's not the voice.
That one was mad, perfect.
Yeah, that's good.
Good. Oh, yeah.
Hey, look at that kibble. Look at yellow kibble.
This is the other side of it. Wow, that kibble is boss. Whoa.
The kibble.
We go up this way.
This has been the stockyard, guys.
Got asbestos.
Oh no,
Generator.
what are these here then?
I don't know, they look like big riffle tables, don't they?
If, tell me what these are, I'm not quite sure. Nice little engine. Oh look at that cart. Awesome, guys. Where did he go?
Waiting for Jared.
Huh?
Waiting for Jared. So where are we now? That's there. So we're.
You said you go to, where did you go?
Is that
7?
Yeah. So we're on this building end.
Yeah.
So
So these
16.
Yeah.
Blacksmith shop there. Jerry's gone to the toilet there, isn't he?
Oh,
He's there.
I didn't see him.
I thought he was in the... Yeah, I thought you were in the toilet.
I was on my way, I found the drum house. Right. There's a big sign that says no photography. I walk around and be like, ah. Right, I'm going to the toilet.
Look at the break. It's literally just a spring break, isn't it?
Yeah. Not like what we've seen in
Not like the American spring break.
photos.
It's really cool.
Wow, they must have been short.
You'd have to be very short to drive this.
White lads. Guys,
It's really cool, isn't it?
it is.
They go over there. It's really awesome.
So much to see here, guys.
It's on tracks. Caterpillar.
It's awesome.
Look at the bar on the front. The road there. Oh mate, it's like chain driven. Wow, that's fucking epic. That is epic. That is a beast. The handles are all here.
Oh, have these stables? Yeah. These would have been the stables.
Yeah, so underground, you get to see, you walk around the coal faces.
Let's get the crap out of it.
Oh my god, the horse, yeah.
Let's get the crap.
Yeah, underground, you get to see, you walk around the coal faces.
Oh, Welsh was quite famous. He was down the bottom and up here.
Oh, is that?
And Victor. I seen Victor down there as well.
Yeah. We were in the stables downstairs too, which was actually a bit heart-wrenching, to be honest. We're a family that love our horses. It was a bit heart-wrenching, but that's a really cool wooden piece. That's carved, look, that's wood.
Wow. Someone's hand carved.
That's
it.
amazing, isn't it? And that's what used to happen. If you needed something, it'd be like, right, we have to make it out of either wood or... Look at the slit. Sick. Yeah, and you get to see a bit of machinery underground. We just chat about a door on it, so.
For all the bad people.
Right, in there. There's
Yeah, go in that door for what door as well. Wow, guys. That's a rail bender, isn't it? Or pipe bender. This here, I think. Okay,
That is.
I'm not sure.
It's not a power hammer, is it? No.
Is it a drill? It's a drill. It's a drill. It's a drill. Look at the roundy finger. Or is it either drill or punch?
It looks like sort of a punch or something, yeah, I don't know.
Look, that's for tying the ends and putting these stop things on the ropes. So, sorry, mate, sorry, I did it.
No, that's all right.
People always associate that with the horses, isn't they? Yes, that's for sure. Not me. There was a man called
there on the end.
he was the man that he did all the work for the place on the roadway, and he'd pull his shoe off.
That's some wire rope and a half. stone. It's awesome. Even look at this old bench and the old cupboard now.
Yeah. It is.
You can see the age of it. Yeah.
Right. We've got to get a cup of tea and a cigarette. Let's go find a cup of tea and a cigarette. Oh, there's a cafe there, right in front of us. This is cool though, I go through there, I really like that. Doesn't even sound like that much really.
Wow. Oh yeah, that's the first thing I did.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I was
By accident as well.
Go on, get it. There's an entrance there. There's another two up there.
Oh, that's awesome.
It looks like something off Call of Duty.
So you're in 10 filming here, after the film is shoot that all the way into your left and simulated mind, okay?
Okay, thank you.
That's awesome.
It looks like something off Call of Duty.
So you're in 10 filming here, after the film is shoot that all the way into your left and simulated mind, okay?
Okay, thank you.
That's it, spread out a bit with there now, come on. Let the dog see the rabbit, man. Right, now, there's a bloke on the screen here, fair play, nice voice, friend of the manager. And he's going to show you the bit of the story you didn't see down below. Down there, in the real underground, you caught a glimpse of the old-fashioned world of mining. Now, I know everyone but me is getting on there, but things have moved on. So, up here, we'll journey forward into a modern mine. Alright then, roll the pictures. Him on the big screen there, he gets a bit nostalgic at times, but no problem folks, I'll drag him into the present. Enjoy the show.
What price the food for your machines that drive our empire's might? It scars our land, it eats our numbers, our days condemned to night. Black gold may be your savior to fire the minds of men, but the cost to us is priceless, our souls are too condemned. King Coal has made us what we are, the means of your desire. The more you crave, the more we slave in burrows, flood and fire.
Couldn't have put it better myself. Well, yes, I could actually, because he makes us sound like downtrodden galley slaves, and there was nothing trod down about miners, man.
By the end of the 17th century, Britain had cut down or burned much of its ancient woodland. For centuries, our great forests had been plundered to build our navy, to heat our homes, to fuel our growing industries. With the woodlands wasted, the Industrial Revolution must find another fuel beneath the landscape. Gripped by our appetite for power, we turned to coal. Side by side stood coal and industry, building the workshop of the world. It was the new currency of commerce, and steam coal in particular was its most precious tender.
And that's the point. You might start with any old coal for raising steam, but you soon find that Welsh coal steams better than others. Welsh coal.
Overnight, the once slumbering landscape of Wales was forced to yield its riches. Man tore out its heart for the black diamonds buried deep and rich beneath its earth. There are 1,300 square miles in the South Wales coalfield. Big Pit sits at the top of it, hungry to smelt iron and steam ships. In the earliest years it was relatively simple. Here on the rim of the coalfield, you could get the coal just by burrowing into the hillside. Patching, they called it. But soon, as the easy pickings failed, you had to sink a shaft to find your seam. Your only transport was a wicker basket. You hollowed out a chamber, and you hoped that the roof wouldn't tumble in. They called these mines bell pits.
Bell pits. Dangerous places. Not much used in Wales, except around the coalfield edge.
Black diamonds beckoned the miner ever deeper. And the deeper he went, the more he was hampered. By narrow shafts, by constant floods, by unbreathable air. It was a dangerous trade for the men and women who cut and hauled the coal. And instead of a handful of men, hundreds could not be killed. So what did it take to be a miner? For centuries he worked with the crudest of tools.
I wouldn't call a mandrel and a shovel crude. They're precision instruments, only as crude as the man who used them.
But they used the tools with courage and ingenuity. Even to reach the coal, you had to tunnel into the rock inch by grinding inch. It was many years before baskets became giant cages. Shafts gaped wide enough to hold more men and coal. And steam finally pumped muscle into winding engines. At last, a new word echoed through the workings below. Mechanization. Early machines now struggled to imitate cutting by muscle and hand. Heath Robinson devices, picks mounted in frames. You cranked the handle to turn the gears. Some say the big leap came with a disc cutter, like a huge circular saw powered by compressed air, scything like Baudissier's chariot along the coal face. Others say that the chain machines, we've still got them here, carried king coal into the big time. Now all hands turn to getting the black diamonds more quickly to the surface. Bigger machines made bigger tunnels. Later we'll show you these great mechanical molds, like the Dosco road header, whose ripping teeth can carve a 2-meter tunnel in a single shift. But the fact is, although machines multiplied the muscle power, the price of mining multiplied too. Back in the 1920s, it had cost a few £1,000s to fit out a coalface. Today's coalface costs tens of millions. And however clever we were, the time came when other countries could produce cheaper coal.
But not finer men, eh? Tell them about the men.
Truth to tell, in the years of hungry industry, the rewards had been priceless. For a century, the coalfields prospered, building fine towns and rich communities. When coal was king, even the poor miner had his rich rewards. But 500,000 tons of coal a year from a single face still couldn't prevent the inevitable. The wheel had turned.
So, surprise, surprise, there was no caviar and champagne for breakfast anymore. And people forgot what a dangerous, dirty, hard, bloody job it was, even in the good times of coal. Okay, let's remind you then. Now, if you care to progress through the door marked exit, clever chaps, these miners, we'll show you how miners dug this precious stuff called coal. Go on then, you in the back there, keep up. I'm the voice of authority now, you know. Right, that better? Good. Now then, you've probably heard tell that coal is hard to dig out of the ground. But then again, once out, it can be as brittle as a biscuit. And until about 1950, see, miners were only paid for large lumps of coal. So they treated the coal with kid gloves. Because if it fell to pieces, dim arian, no pay. Now you might say, if it breaks that easy, why the fuss with all this machinery? But you've got to get to the coal, haven't you? And when you get there, you've got to get it out. So, all these tunnels are about getting to the coal. And not too long ago, the main way to make tunnels was with a big bang. Now, if you peer into the darkness, you can see our Christmas decorations. No expense spared. Now imagine that all those wires were connected to sticks of explosive. That was used to blast away through the rock and coal. Now that wall we're about to blow up is called the heading, and every day calls for another 2 meters of tunnel. So first, they drill holes in the rock for the explosives. Not willy-nilly, mind, but carefully planned. Each hole over 2 meters deep. They used that boring equipment you can see leaning at the front. The shot firer then eased rounds of explosive into the carefully cleaned holes, and then he'd link these with electrical wires. Now, see there, hanging up next to the boring gear is the exploder. Funnily enough, the shotsman wouldn't press that button standing this close to the explosives. He'd put a couple of sentries down the tunnels with shining red cap lamps, hurry back with his exploder to 200 meters away, and then, even if you were sitting right next to him, he'd holler for all to hear. Just like that. Then, if he'd got his wiring right, you'd hear a boom, 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 as the rock and coal were blasted out. Things didn't always go to plan, mind. Explosives are always dangerous, especially down a coal mine. After the fumes had cleared, there could be up to 30 tons of rock or coal to get to the surface. Then, the whole business starts all over again. Mawr we were telling you about. Sorry, did it give you a turn, missus? Well, imagine that knocking on your coal shed door. Now, as big as it may be, this thing is nearly 40 years old and a toy compared to the modern ones. But even this could chew out 2 meters of tunnel in an 8-hour shift. It was twice as quick as explosives and a lot safer too. Yes, time was when this Dosco road header ate its way through the South Wales coalfields, well, like a maggot in Caerphilly cheese. And not anymore, it doesn't. Not by here, anyhow. But across the Atlantic, they found a new use for the Dosco. In the vineyards of California, there's one of these burrowing into the hillsides, making tunnels for storing wine. From coal seams to Chardonnay.
Sorted, boy. Does she get a night shift back here? Is he made all mess up? No, you call it boy, I got as old as you are. Aye, but you have an easier life than me.
These men are the repairers, and they know the mine from top to bottom. And more than anything, they know that Mother Nature abhors a vacuum.
Nature abhors a vacuum? Where do you get that from?
In other words, we can dig all the tunnels we like. But sooner or later, Mother Nature will close them up. It's the pressure of the rock, see? The weight is what we call it. Pushes down from the roof, in from the sides, and believe it or not, up from below.
Take a look at these rings, Bayer. They've had a right old bending, haven't they? And that floor lift. Put that's terrible. Give us a lift, Bayer, will you?
These men have to work to keep the routes to the coalface open. Keep the arteries clear. Keep the tunnel safe enough and wide enough for the coal to flow. You won't see too many big machines in this neck of the woods. Now and then, mechanical saw perhaps, but mostly it's the quiet muscle of the men who know the rock. Men who've worked the coal, carved it out with their mandrels, feel its strengths and its weaknesses, and sometimes even its heartless treachery. Okay, folks, I think it's time we were moving on. Follow the yellow brick road. Lights over there.
Fair play. He's got away with words. He should have been a poet. He makes a better bloody poet than he would a miner. And he called you old man. Just talking about you back.
Over here now. That's it, along here please, come on.
Blocked shoot, number 5, blocked again. Stop, start, like a bloody milk round this morning.
Hey you, over here now. That's right, this way. I'm under here. Well now, this is very fortuitous. This particular area, ladies and gentlemen, portrays the classic scene of our men at the coalface doing bugger all and not feeling at all happy about it. However, this shutdown does give me the chance to explain what's happening. This is the coalface 1970 style. In reality, it would be about 200 metres long, and that machine there, the one with the giant drum, see it? That's it. It's called the shearer. When it's working, it moves sideways like a giant bacon slicer. So it's not digging a thin, deep tunnel like what you might expect. It's taking a great sweep sideways from one end of the face to the other, shearing great swathes of coal off the seam in massive quantities. 400 tons of it at a single sweep of the face. 400 tons! Ah, that's a train full. Enough to keep 60 homes snug and warm for a whole year.
Okay, right up, guys. Start it up now.
What's the order, boys? And that's how they get the call. Anyway, if your senses feel a bit battered, we'll make ourselves scarce. Now, go back to the corner and turn up to the right for the last historical scene.
That's a bulldozer.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Lying on your side, shoveling 15 tons of coal onto that conveyor. It turns out to look how low it is. They could do with some volunteers. Oh yes, and mind that big thing there that looks like a chainsaw. It was used before they had big coal cutters. They called it the Widowmaker because of the dust it threw up. And it wasn't the only Widowmaker down a mine. Well, time to wash away the grime. When you leave here now, make your way up to the slope to those fine miners' baths they built back in the 1930s. Great they were. Made a big difference to the miner's life, and an even bigger difference to the miner's wife. But you know, there were some things about the pit that you couldn't wash away. Memories. Mostly happy, but sometimes sad. Memories of friends made and maybe lost in the pit. And you know, there was something else you couldn't wash off. That was pride. Ask any miner. Show him a pit lamp or any of that fancy tackle up there in those exhibitions. He won't see a museum artifact. He'll see something real. Part of his body, part of his craft, part of his this pride. Out of this black hole he built warm houses and bright chapels. Out of this thin seam he hewed miners' institutes and finer education and better health. Out of this secret place he gave power to nations and hearths to homes. You know, it wasn't only the coal that was squeezed out of ancient trees. The miners were squeezed too, into a comradeship you might never understand. And when they needed a bit of help down there, you'd hear a world heritage of languages. I don't know if there's a message for the world in that, but a tale of comradeship is no bad thing to come out of the muggy heart of a big Welsh pit. Pwll fawr.
Look at the old bucket. Did you go to see it?
Back out to daylight. That's awesome, that is.
Look at the air horn. Wow. CB Gorman makers around there. Wow. Man, that is nuts. Imagine putting that on your face.
It's a helmet, is it?
It's terrifying.
Wow.
Hey, look at the helmet.
Walking away. It's like I got that speed.
I think that's the X-rated for YouTube. Film for Shaz.
George Stephenson was putting his ideas to the test. Long before he pioneered the railway movement, Stephenson claimed that he invented the
In the water? Is that something off the... I don't know, I have no idea, but that's just weird. Oh, that's pretty cool.
The attacks on policemen were horrific. It was a miracle no one was killed except one police commander. The police were involved in some of the most vicious hand-to-hand fighting in the entire miners' dispute.
Eventually they got thanks to the the bond between Blaenavon and miners still could be broken. Even at the end of the 20th century, the safety of the last saving liner continues to prove indefensible.
All sceneries.
Byddai'r mawr yn cael ei chywasgu dan bwysau pob haen newydd gan greu glo caled di. Wrth i'r cyfandiroedd symud tuag at y safleoedd presennol, byddai'n tarwyd mewn nhw.
It just keeps going.
I gotta go this way first.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Wow.
Look at the shoes.
Good tiny there.
Look at the shoes, man. That's
Those hobnails must be, eh?
That's really mad, isn't it?
They're tiny. Oh wow, it's like a mock-up of a miner's house.
It's got tikka masala.
I thought it was dill. I thought it was It's your fault. So, we've been a miner's house. Some history here, guys. Oh, clothes press, I think it was. Is this a this is a...
It says exit.
I bet it's a hole.
No, you can go through. I'll blow it. I'm being hurt to these.
Benders.
There's something different. It's crazy though.
Wow, so much stuff to see.
So crazy. Man, I love places like this.
That is crazy. Blue.
Sure.
There's lanterns. These lanterns.
I'd go for one of these little lamps, to be honest.
Yeah, I've seen them on eBay.
Yeah, they're quite expensive though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here's the locker rooms. The faces of the people.
Oh wow. Are these...
Snoggle Bill. George Brinkley Jones. He was a miner and artist.
Did you see the one on the end?
Hey, Max Boyce.
Max Boyce.
Max Boyce.
Yeah, no. That's no one else I recognise it.
Hey, look at this top that he used to wear.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
Wow. And in there, it's got one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen in my life. It's a tiny little pair of boots.
Oh, the kids.
Right in the glass cabinet. Got the actors and stuff.
We've got some film for Charles, because I know Charles will be watching this.
Yeah. Oh,
this is for Charles. 73.
oh, hey Gareth, look at these. to hang your towels on.
Oh wow, yeah.
Mate, on the end of every one. So the miners paid and built this themselves. Wow, just think of the history, just standing here like people like just showering.
I think the other side is the boat wash. Can you get around? Awesome history of it.
This is where you sense that there's a lot of real history.
Yeah. How many workers have been through here?
There's a lot of friendships forged.
Lot of sweat as well.
Yeah. Basically your life is in the box.
Crazy. Is it, yeah, I've seen pictures of it, so it's oh yeah, turn it to bristles.
Yeah, and then the toilets are there. So, that's really cool. That's what they'd be done there. Shining the boots up.
Boot washer.
Hey, that's really, really cool.
Look at this, a boot greaser.
Huh?
The boot greaser.
Hey, it looks like he's having a shift on it. Oh, that's mad.
Would you put your boots like that or something that spurts out? I don't know.
And the toilet block was there as well. These tiles are really cool. There's the toilet block.
That's cool.
That stick is actually quite handy. Don't give it that.
I've always said it, right? Literally, they should have just employed these as miners the entire time. They could have made the mines much smaller. Don't have to employ children.
That's not right. Yeah, but they make them children's mines. Oh, I'm going to the toilet.
Don't take camera.
Oh yeah.